Hello everyone, this is Johannes and you are watching Board Gaming Ramblings, and today we are taking a look at Founders of Gloomhaven by Isaac Childres, released by Cephalophore Games. This is one of my most anticipated games of 2018. This is a game I have been looking forward to play for a long time, and now I have played it. Was it fun? Was it horrible? Was it an amazing game experience like no other has ever been? We will soon know. But first, let's do a quick overview about how to play this game. So, let's take a quick look about how to play Founders of Gloomhaven. There is a lot of stuff going on in this game, so I'm basically just gonna do the overview about how to play the game so you might get a little feel about it before we see what I think about this game. So, in this game, you are gonna be one of 9 different races. So, let's say I am the humans. I will get the human board. I will get all the human player pieces, which consists of lots of small cubes and lots of discs. And I will also get some houses that looks like this. I will get some gates/bridges that looks like this. I will get some human meeples. This is really awesome component wise. All the different races have different meeples and they look amazing. So you get 3 of those, and you will also get some voting tiles, some money to start off as well, and your 5 action cards, which is what this game will revolve around. I'm just gonna tell you basically how these actions work. That is all we're gonna do in this video. Just gonna do like a little setup thing first. All the different races own a resource. So the humans own population. They have the resource of population. So they're gonna get these 3 population market stalls. And then you're gonna also end up by choosing another resource. So there are resource cards, and every player is gonna choose one resource card which they can have, because each resource have 2 other resources they can't own. That is basically the resources they need to make more buildings, and you have to cooperate with other players to get the resources you need. Then, in reverse player order, you're going to place one of these buildings on the board. Let's say it's a 2-player game. There's 2 places here with a number 2. I will place one out here and place one of my discs on top of it to show I am the owner. And that's how it will go. Somebody else, let's say they own rocks or stone, they'll put it out here and put one of the discs on top there as well. And that's the setup. Let's just talk quickly about how this game works, because there's so much stuff going on. And yeah, basically what this game is about is to build a city of Gloomhaven. You want to get out your resources, different resources. You want to upgrade the resources to better resources. You want to get out prestige buildings that will have different resources it needs, so you can deliver that and score points, which is basically the main points to score points. Main way you score points is to get these prestige buildings out and yeah, get points because you're delivering all these really cool resources to them. So basically this game is about all these 5 cards. You only have 5 different actions you can choose. Let's go quickly through them. This one is the recruit card. The first player who plays this will do a recruit action, which is on this board over here. You're gonna lay out some different advisors here, which is basically the 5 actions just in a better way that you can get if you have access to the resource that the advisor need. That is one of the things you can do. You can get an advisor, and you'll also get some influence, and all the other players may then after you get an advisor. If you can't do that, you can get a basic resource or basic action, which is getting a coin, getting a money, getting a coin, getting an influence, building a road, or doing a worker placement action if you have access to your workers. So, first card, recruit. The next card is the trade action, which basically have 3 different actions on it. The first thing you can do is to import one of your resources. Let's say I have population again, I can import that, but population can only be once in each of these 3 regions of the map. So I might, for example, import it over here, and I see over here that that has a cost of 3, so I have to pay 3 coins and put that in here as well. The other thing you can do is to buy access to all the resources. So I want to buy access to, somebody else want to buy access to my population. They see which area it's on. It's on a central area, and that has 1 more coin to get access. So that costs them 4, and those coins goes to me. The last thing you can do is to import a resource either from another player later in the game. That's something that will rarely happens. You can check that out in the rules. And the other thing is that you can do the neutral resources in the 2 and 3 player game, which I will explain more in the review part of this video. That is the trade action, basically for getting more resources, basic resources on the table. The next one is the construct action. And here you can construct a road, or I don't mean a road, I mean a bridge, a gate, or a house. You can build a house in the forest. Everything that you build in this game has to be connected to you. So let's say I have this population up here. I will then take an action somewhere where I build a road. I'm now connected to all these spaces which has a forest on them, and I can build one of my houses. When you build a house, you get access to one of your workers, which you can use at 2 different worker placement spaces during the game. There's going to also only be 1 house in each of the 3 regions, so you have to span out if you want to get more houses and more workers out on the table. Other than that, you can build a bridge to go over the water, or a gate to go over the mountain or through the mountains. And basically all the roads in this game, everybody can use all the roads. But if you come to my bridge, I won't let you cross that. So basically you can have access to all the resources down here, but over my bridge you can't come. So you have to build your own bridge to get your little route of all these resources to, and then get them to connect to each other, which is basically what you want to do in this game. The next to last card, it's the upgrade card, which is really important. That is where you upgrade to tier 2 or tier 3 resources. So basically, to be able to do that, you would have to own or access all the resources that needed. Let's take this for example, the brick. The brick right here, it needs to be connected to population, and it needs to be connected to stone. So in this example right here, you can see that if I own or access stone, I cannot own it when I own population, but I can access it by doing the trade action I showed you earlier. You can see now that if I build this up here, for example, it gets connected to both this population and through my bridge down here to the stone. And that is how you can build. Nothing in this game can be adjacent, so you can never build adjacent to something you own. The only exception is the bridges and the gates. So I can build it up here, I have to have access to both of them, they have to be connected, and I can build it here and it will get some points. And the last action you can do is the call to vote action, which is basically kind of a reset action with a plus. You will get all your cards back on your hand. You will first count how many cards you have left in your hand before you do it. You will get that many coins / fleeting influence or roads to put on the table, and then everybody else will collect income, not you, only the other players, but you will collect it when they do it, and then you will vote. And this is how you get the influence buildings, the prestige buildings on the board. So you're gonna have some influence, or prestige buildings laid up here, like this, and then you're gonna vote on which one of them you want to get out. All these have different resources that they need delivered to them, and that is what you have to do to get points during the game. Like most of the points are coming from that. So you choose one of them, you have these voting tiles in your hand, you will choose one of them, and also you will put your influence gems into your hand. Some of them are fleeting influence, which are the white ones, and some of them are lasting influence, which are either red. The white ones you have to use basically because they disappear after the vote, and the reds one are lasting, so you can choose to have them later. They also have to use 1 influence for the fleeting ones and 2 influence for the lasting. So you put what you want into your hand. It's like a blind bidding. You open it up, and the color who gets the most votes is the winner, and the player who put the most influence through that vote will choose where to put that influence building. All the influence building either has like a special kind of area it has to be placed on, and then one of the spaces of that building have to be placed. Let's see, this for example is a coastal one, so it has to have at least one of its squares on the coast. And some of the buildings, like for example the Ghost Fortress, has somewhere specific, it has to be up in the corner here. I think it's kind of strange that the whole city goes towards together to build a Ghost Fortress, but that's what you want to do in Founders of Gloomhaven. And after you have delivered, as soon as a resource is delivered or connected to one of these, you get points for it. And when 6 of these buildings are done, the game ends. There is much more to this game, but I hope this gave you kind of like a little bit of a feel about how the game plays. So let's get back up and see what I think about Founders of Gloomhaven. And that is basically a quick overview about how to play this game. There's so much stuff going on in this game, so basically if you want to have like a rules explanation video, go check out Paul Grogan gaming rules video for this game, which is amazing. He is doing a great job on this rules video, so if you want more than just a quick overview to see how all the rules work, go check out that video. But what do I think about this game, which is basically why you're all here. You want to see and hear my thoughts about this game, because this game is a highly anticipated game for many people, and many people have received their game and played it, and lots of comments are coming out. And before we start with all the gameplay stuff, I usually like to start by talking about the components, because it's really important for me with the components. But then again, gameplay is king, so if the components are horrible, it can still be an amazing game. But let's talk about the components, artwork, and quality of the game piece in this game. First of all, almost all of these components are amazing. These player boards are really great. Thick, sturdy player boards. The information on the player boards are easy to digest after you have learned to play the game. You can play with both sides of the player board. There's 9 player boards for 9 races in the game. On the back of it, on the like the simpler side of the playing board, you also have like the story for all the different races. The artwork is phenomenal. It's amazing. I love it. One little like tiny problem I had with it was basically to understand what color each different race was, until I understood that the color of the resource is the color of your race. But other than that, no really problem. I don't know what this is for. It's not for something in the game. There's nothing with this kind of bow that you can put in here. Maybe it's to put in front of your face, I don't know. Maybe it was just because it looked cool. Maybe it's some expansion coming that Isaac already has thought about. Oh, I want this half circle. I don't know, but it looks nice, and it's really simple to understand everything that is on this player board. The one little thing that I really love, which is just a nudge to people who play Gloomhaven, these 1 coins are basically the same coins that you find in Gloomhaven. But in this game, it's like 400 years before Gloomhaven, I think, and they're new. They're like beautifully crafted new coins, which in Gloomhaven they look dusty, they look old. So these are the new coins. So if you want to do something special, you can put this in Gloomhaven and be like, I have found a new coin. You can't do that, or you can if you want to, but I don't see the reason why you would want to do that. But they are really nice. And yeah, basically everything is cool. All the different buildings have great artwork. They look great on the board. Some people have said like, oh, I would like it to be hexagons instead of squares. I think the board looks really great. I think it's a bit fiddly in the beginning when you play it, like it's horrible to have an overview about everything that's happening on the board the first time you play, but after that it's starting to get really easy, or easier. It's still like so much stuff going on at the same time in this table, on this board. If it hadn't been for these pieces that you use, the player pieces that you use to put on the buildings, this game would be really hard to play. All the prestige buildings, they are really nice. Every single one of them has like a different artwork, different shape. I really like it. I love this tile placement thing. If you haven't already, if you don't already know that, I love this like Tetris puzzle-y, trying to puzzle this piece in the best way possible, and we will come back to that in gameplay. But the only thing I want to say about the game, or the components, which I don't like, if you can see this is a sleeved card. I don't sleeve cards like ever, but these cards are not really good quality. These are like not the worst quality I have seen, but it's not a thick cardboard card, which not cardboard card, but a thick playing card, which I really enjoy. These are kind of flimsy, but then again, you're not shuffling them so much, only in the beginning of the game. So I think if you're gonna play this a lot, you might want to sleeve them, but it's not a big thing. Just one of the things I was thinking about when I was unboxing the game, saying like, ooh, don't really like the quality of these cards. But other than that, everything is great. Many different pieces of artworks on the road, which is cool. You can basically just turn them over and everyone is more alike, but it's everything is great. It's clear, it's concise, it's easy to understand everything about the artwork and components of the game. So let's talk about what we really are here for, the gameplay of this game. People have said this is kind of like a mix-up of the card play in Concordia, the resource like connection in the Great Zimbabwe, and the following mechanics of like Puerto Rico, or kind of like in Race for the Galaxy. And basically this game is a mashup of other games, but all in all it feels like its own game. So let's see, like I love Concordia. If you know anything about me, I really like Concordia. I like that you can plan a lot, you can plan so much ahead in that game. You can't really do that here. Mainly because of the follow action, but also because this is not a strategic game. This is a highly tactical game. Like, you can have some plans, but somebody might just do like boop and destroy your plan, do something that will just break your plan apart, and you might have to do something else. Other times you have to be like, you have to really think about what other people are doing, because you are following all their actions. And if they're playing a card that you really need to play, and you have the resources, that can be a really huge move for you. You can sometimes do things that are better than the player who is actually doing the action. Because you can just, they can do something that's good for them, but it's so good for you. So you can then basically also after that play your own card and do another action which you hadn't anticipated because you were trying to do the action they just did and really escalated your plan. Or you can go the other way, you know, be like, please don't play this card right now, please just wait another round, and they play it and you can't do anything and you have to try to do something else. This is a tactical game. You have to all the time look at all what the other players are doing. You are in the game at all times. There's really not a lot of downtime here. There is some kind of AP here and there, but it's not really a huge problem because almost always someone's doing something and then you're following it right afterwards. So, the gameplay, is it a heavy game? Is it a light game? It's not a light game at all. What makes this game heavy is basically, or like, what game makes this game like heavier is basically having to organize and have an overview of everything that's happening on the board. Like, the gameplay is kind of simple. It's like Concordia, you play a card and you do what's on the card. And then the other players follow and then they play a card and do what's on the card and so on. So, and all the actions, there's only like 5 actions in the game. Of course with some like under actions and different variabilities of them. But the actions are kind of simple. It's just like play it and I will upgrade one tile. So, what is interesting in this game? What makes this game making my brain melt a little bit? This is kind of a brain burner if you're not, this is a spatial game. So all the time you have to see, okay, this tile is connected to this tile, I need to get this tile over here connected to that, and I need to get access to that resource so I can build this thing over here, so I can deliver it to this prestige building so I can get those points, but then you get points, but I get more points than you, and you have to think like that all the time. And also it really feels like kind of a race. If 2 players are in the making or have the possibility to upgrade to the same like advanced resource, then it's kind of a race. It's on like Donkey Kong, you know? You have to be like, okay, I'm gonna have to squeeze it out before you do, because sometimes, of course, you can have 2 of the same resource, but most of the time when we have played, the whole board just got connected at the end, and you just, boom, explode, and everything just gets delivered to everywhere, and the game just ends like really, really quick. That is one thing, like the first time you play this game, it may feel really slow, because this is a game that is really slow at the beginning. You're just like building one of these 1 square buildings, maybe upgrading 1 tile. Oh, wait, there's a prestige building. And then at the end of the game, we actually had in one of our rounds, we had 1 prestige building done. And the game ends after 6 of the prestige buildings has had all their resources delivered to them. We had 1 done, 1 road was built, 1 bridge, no, there was 1 road, 1 road was built, and then boom, everything was connected. Like, the game ended after building 1 bridge. I'm sorry, I said road, it was 1 bridge. Sunniva built a bridge, and then her 2 or 3 resources up in the edge of the map just got delivered to everywhere, and she got so many points. I still won, yeah, but she got so many points, and really, she was laying behind, far behind at the beginning of the game. All through the game, she was far behind, didn't feel she was doing something. At the end, just delivered everything, got so many points. Then another thing that I want to talk about is basically that player interaction, because if you know me and have seen a lot of our videos, you know we are Care Bears. We love sitting at our own edge of the table and be like, ooh, I'm playing this, you can't do anything to stop me. I get some resources, I do my business, I just do this stuff. We like that, we really like that. We like multiplayer solitaire games, but we have starting to like more games with more interactivity as well. The interactivity in this game is really interesting, but it can also be mean. So if you don't like being able to block people off, being able to screw with people's plan, this might not be the game for you. I'm feeling that this is really on the edge for me. I think for Sunwa, this is kind of over the edge at sometimes. If she has a plan, like in one of the games we played, I managed to place a building, really blocking off one of her bridges, and she didn't see the possibility to go around it. She had a possibility, she just had to build quite a few roads and a bridge to get over there as well. But kind of these things, and when you have a plan like, okay, my only plan now is to get weaponry out, and then somebody else does that, and you're like, okay, and they deliver to all the buildings I wanted to build to, and you can get a little bit, what am I going to do now? I don't have any plans now, I don't really know what's going on. And for me, that's kind of not what I like in a game. But this game is so good. This is like really on the edge for me. This is like this. Sometimes it's over the edge, sometimes it's on the right side of the Care Bear edge for me. But I think that the first time you play this game, it might feel really hopeless when somebody's doing stuff like that. But after that, like at the end of the game, like one game, Sunwa was like 20-40 points ahead of me, but at the end of the game she only won by like 5 points. So I got to take in a lot of those points by the end of the game, even though she destroyed some of my plans. She did some stuff that I wanted to do, and basically if you just be tactical and you change up your plans, which you have to do in this game anyway, you will probably end up like kind of in the same area of points. Like we haven't had any like people winning with an extreme amount of points, except for the first time we played, where Sunwa just beat us all. We played a 4-player game and she just had like 15 points more than the second place or something like that. So sometimes of course that will happen, but the feeling I feel is that there's not really anything that people can do to just take you out of the game, which is really good because I don't like that. So all in all, the player interaction is really interesting. It's what makes this game. You have to see what other people are doing, what other people are planning to do, what you can do to stop their plans, what you can do to position yourself in a way, or position a prestige building so that you will win the vote and put that prestige building somewhere where it's really good for you, but maybe block somebody else off completely. That is one thing as well that I felt. If you let all the other players just win the votes, you're not going to win the game because you can't place the buildings where you want to. You will have to get some influence and be able to win a vote when it's really, really important for you. There's a building there with just the right resources. You can deliver it fast, get lots of points. You need to do that. Like really, really, you need to win those votes. But then again, I played a game where I won where I didn't win that many votes. So you can like basically cooperate with other players who have kind of the same resources so that they won it out, and you will outbid the last player if you're in a 3-player game, which is really, really interesting as well. It's kind of like you're building the city up together, but then again you want to build it better than all the other players. So it's kind of like this strange, you have to cooperate but you don't really want to because you want to get points, because that's what life is about, you know. Points is what life is about. So let's talk about player count. It's the next thing. I was jumping ahead of myself. Let's talk about player count. I play this with all player counts except solo, because I don't really play games solo, and of course for me I don't play this big game solo at all. So we play 2, 3 and 4 players, and I have to say 4 players is where this game is the best. It's feels like the game was made for 4 players, and that it's where the interaction is the most interesting, the board is the most interesting, everything just is interesting in that way. And the game, the length of the game isn't really that much longer with 3 people, because you're basically doing the same amount of stuff with 4 people and 3 and 2 players. But so the only thing that's like a downside of a 4-player game is that you don't get to play as many cards. In a 2-player game and a 3-player game, you will of course play more cards. In a 2-player game, you might play like double the amount of cards yourself. So in the 4-player game, the following is more important than in the 2 and 3-player game. In the 2 and 3-player game, you have these resources, which is like a neutral resource which you can import. Nobody's owning them, they're just there, and you can have access to them. And when you get points for those resources, they take away 2 points instead of 1. I think this is It felt kind of when you play 2 players and all my buildings needed those upgraded, needed those neutral resources and Sunuva's didn't. It felt kind of like, but they're taking away all those points from me. But as I said in the beginning, like earlier in the video, it all feels balanced in the end. It might not feel balanced during the game, but in the end of the game, it has always felt that everything is balanced, and that is really, really great. I think this game is best at 4. I think it's really good at 3. I think it's really good at 2. I don't think I would bring it out at 2. I think it's a very good game at 2, but I don't think, like, if you only play games with 2, for me, this would not be a game I would buy to play with 2 players, like only with 2 players. If I sometimes would play with 3 and 4, I would buy this game instantly because it's really good at all player counts, but it's best at 4 players. That is my taste anyways. So, replayability. This game you can play forever. I think you can play this game, like, of course, in the day and age we are now, most people play a game like 4, 5, maybe 10 times at the most, and you will not have explored all that is to explore in this game after 10 plays. This has, even though it's not like Terra Mystica where there's 14 races and all of them play really differently, but here you have 9 races which have the different resources they start with, which would make the game different each time, and also you have different starting position, which will make the game different each time. You also have the small player powers that all the races have, a worker placement spot, which will make the game different each time, and also after you play it sometimes you can play with achievements, which is basically like goals that will give you points during the game, at the middle of the game, and in the end of the game. So there's so much replayability in this game. This game, I think, is best after you played it a couple of times. It's gonna take a game or 2 to get really a hang of what's going on and understand the tactics, understand how to go about to get the most points. But the game is fantastic. It'll have a lot of replayability, and let's go to final thoughts. This game is great. I really, it met all my expectations. This is like a great mashup of different genres, different mechanics just working really, really well together, just like my hands just fitting together like a hand in another hand. It's just perfect. I don't have anything, like the only negative I have to say about this game is basically that the first time you play, and basically it's gonna take a while to get the board, like to understand what you can look about at the board, because the board looks so messy. It gets kind of messy when you build up all the different buildings. You have to, okay, that's that building, that's a prestige building, that's a resource building, I own that, you own that, I have access to that. To get that, to understand that in your brain is kind of messy, but after a couple of plays you will get that, and I'm having a hard time saying something I don't like about this game. It must be, as I said, like the player interaction is sometimes too intense for me. So if you don't like interaction in games, I don't think this would be a game for you. Other than that, like if you like a heavy Euro, this is city building, I love city building games. If you like Concordia, the card play, or if that's interesting to you at all, the follow mechanic like Puerto Rico or Race for the Galaxy. If you have played Great Zimbabwe, you will find some similarities here as well. But all in all, this is a game I really recommend. I think that you will get so many plays of it. If you want that, and if you're only going to play it 4 or 5 times, you will also have lots and lots of fun by playing Founders of Gloomhaven. This was one of my most anticipated games, and I'm really, really happy with it. I'm looking forward to play it more. I really hope we will have time to play many more times during the year. It's a fantastic game, and I'm so happy to finally have it on the table. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed my review. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please comment and like on the video. Tell me, have you played the game? What did you think about the game? If you haven't played it, do you want to check it out? Do you want to get it? Are you waiting for your Kickstarter copy? Anyways, thank you so much for watching. That's everything for today, and bye bye.